Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the final E2000 and E3000 earphones. Now some of you might know final audio is designed for producing very expensive in-ears, and that simply comes from their very luxurious design. Now in this case, these earphones are actually relatively cheap. Now the E2000s come in at £40 and the E3000s come in at £10 more at £49. On Amazon.com you can find them at $45 and $55 respectively. Links will be down in the description below in case you're interested. Now these earphones house pretty much the same drivers. They have a 6.4mm single aperture driver, which is a actual dynamic driver. So a single aperture dynamic driver, not to confuse anyone with a single balanced armature driver. So do bear that in mind. Now in terms of the earphones, the difference of them, it's actually to do with their housing. One has a stainless steel looking housing and the other one has a black aluminium housing. Other than that, the earphones have got the same sort of dimensions, use the same sort of tips, have got the same sort of, or the same cable, and come with the same sort of accessories. Speaking of accessories, you get a set of silicone tips with some ear hooks, which is fantastic, and you get a nifty little carrying pouch, which is actually really good to use. I actually use this for my other earphones on a daily basis. Now in terms of the earphones, they are terminated by a normal right-angled gold-plated 3.5mm jack. The cable itself does have a little bit of microphonics, however this can be eliminated by using the earphones over the ear rather than straight down. They've got a cable kinch over here which is very handy, and the cable itself does get sometimes a little bit tangled, but does also untangle relatively easily. Now, in terms of the comfort of the earphones, I must say this must be one of their biggest plus points. It's simply because of how small they are. They sit very flush in the ear, and given their look, they're not too, they're discreet, let's put it that way. They're not going to be flashy, even though with the stainless steel design, they're not going to look flashy or be bulky in your ears. It's also useful if you want to sleep on earphones. These actually do work, even though they've got a little more of an elongated design. They're actually very much comfortable to sleep on if you are someone that needs earphones or anything like that to sleep on, or want to just use it if you're, I don't know, traveling or something like that. In terms of right and left indicator, they can be found underneath the earphones. They're pretty clear and very easy to see. And you've got a very nice final and the model, the E2000 or E3000 on the side of the housing. Now the earphones are very lightweight as well. As I said, they can be worn straight down over the ear, very comfortable, and in honesty, when you put them in, you hardly feel that they're in your ears. They're so light, and I love that fact. Now, the most important thing is how do they sound. Now first, starting with the E2000s. The E2000s have a very punchy bass line. The mid bass is what it's best at, shall I say. It has a very punchy mid bass and a very nice slam. It is slightly uncontrolled and it does leak into the mid range. Nevertheless, its sub bass is there as well, and given its price point, I must say it's quite impressive to actually have some sort of sub bass on a sub £50 earphone. In terms of the mids, they are recessed, they are pushed back, and they very much lead to a V-shaped sound signature, which looks like that. I can't even do it. A V-shaped sound signature, and therefore it's a very much warmer sound signature. The highs are there, but they are pretty much rolled off at the top end, so do bear that in mind. Again, remember they are £40 earphones, so you can't expect the world from them. Now, in comparison to the E3000s, the E2000s have a relatively closed soundstage. They sound a little bit more narrow, and I would say a little bit more claustrophobic, if I had to put it in sort of in terms of painting you an image of how it sounds. Overall, they do sound very good, and for £40 I would definitely recommend them. However, the E3000s for only £10 more not only look the part, but also sound a lot better, at least to my ears. The earphones have a much wider soundstage and therefore have a lot wider and more space to breathe throughout the frequencies. This means the low end doesn't have much of a punch, not as much of a punch, should I say. Its sub bass is there, just like the E2000s are. The mid bass is a little bit more controlled, as there's a less of an impact and less of an emphasis on the mid bass. The mids come out just a little bit better, as there's less of an impact from the mid bass response. And the highs are identical to the E2000s. They've got a slight roll off at the top end. But what really sets it apart is its soundstage. It has a much deeper, wider, and a much better instrument separation, which means that in terms of imaging, tonality, you just get a much better reproduction with the E3000s. Is it worth an extra £10 over the E2000s or versus its competitors? Yes, definitely. If I were to recommend an earphone under £50, there are quite a few, and in one of these, for example, this would compete with the Rockjaw Alpha Genius V2. It would also compete with the Soundmagic E10s. But if you want something that's very small, looks very cool, sits flushly in your ear, which means you can sleep on, and gives you a relatively neutral, when I say relatively neutral, it won't be neutral for audiophiles, but a relatively neutral earphone for about £50, then the E3000s are fantastic. The E2000s, don't get me wrong, are not bad. If you're on a strict budget of £40, then get the E2000s. But if you can stretch it for another £10, which I highly suggest, then get the E3000s instead, given their qualities. So there we go, guys. These are the video review of the final audio, or shall I say the final E3000 E2000s. Hopefully you've enjoyed this unbiased, unpaid review. Make sure you give it a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you would suggest for about £50 for in-ear earphones, and let me know what you've got as well. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Take care and bye bye.